First Contact is the film that made the Borg terrifying on the big screen.
Was that good for you?
But the version you love was almost a completely different movie. Did you know it was originally set in the Renaissance, with the Borg corrupting the age of Da Vinci? Or that Tom Hanks nearly starred? 15 facts, starting big. The alternate ending. In the finished film, the Borg chased the Enterprise back to 2063 to sabotage Zephram Cochrane's first warp flight, and Earth is saved in the skies over Montana. But the story was first written as something unrecognizable. The initial draft, titled Star Trek Renaissance, set the entire film in Italy's past, not humanity's future. The crew would pursue time-traveling Borg into the Renaissance, reaching a village whose terrified locals whisper of monsters overrunning neighboring towns. Monsters revealed to be the Borg, nested in the dungeon of a nobleman's castle. Unable to breach it, Data would go undercover as an artist's apprentice and befriend Leonardo da Vinci himself. There were even planned sword fights, but the writers feared the period setting was tipping into camp, too kitsch. So they slid the corrupted moment from the age of Da Vinci to the age of warp drive. The castle became a starship. First Contact was born. 14, Tom Hanks wanted in, and lost the role to his scheduled humanity's warp drive pioneer, Zephram Cochrane, was very nearly played by one of the biggest movie stars on Earth. Tom Hanks, a genuine, admitted lifelong Trekker, was slated for the role and wanted it badly. There was just one problem, and it was a big one. Hanks was busy directing and starring in his own feature debut, That Thing You Do, and the schedules simply couldn't be reconciled. The two-time Oscar winner had to pass on his own dream franchise. The role went instead to James Cromwell, and here's the detail that stuns people. Cromwell was that year's Oscar nominee for Babe, and in Frakes' delighted telling, in spite of having been nominated for an Academy Award, he actually came in and read for the part. He nailed it.
Please, don't tell me it's all thanks to me.
So Star Trek lost Tom Hanks and gained a nominated actor humble enough to audition anyway. Cochrane's cynical, drunken brilliance became one of Trek's best performances. 13, two better-known directors passed. So Riker took the chair. First Contact was Jonathan Frakes' debut feature. And he got the job partly because bigger names didn't want it. According to Frakes, the film was first offered to A-list directors who had little interest in Star Trek. Only after they passed did it come to him. And even then, he says, he was offered the job a month out. The logic that saved him was sound. Paramount decided the safest hands belonged to someone who genuinely understood the universe, and Frakes had directed acclaimed episodes across The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. The leap was still enormous. On television, he'd had 7 days to prep and 7 to shoot an episode. Now he had 10 weeks of prep and 12 of filming, in widescreen anamorphic instead of the boxy TV frame. He studied Jaws, Close Encounters, 2001, and the work of Cameron and Scott. Riker's boss, Sherry Lansing, told Berman, "I'll leave this in your hands." The gamble produced a classic. 12. The Borg Queen was invented to fix a storytelling problem. The Borg Queen, one of Star Trek's greatest villains, didn't exist in Borg lore. She was created to solve a writing crisis. As Braga explained, the team hits an aha moment realizing the Borg, as established, were essentially silent zombies. A mindless collective can menace, but it can't seduce, can't argue, can't want to be understood. The film needed a face for the hive, a voice that could tempt Data and torment Picard. So they invented a queen, seductive, dangerous, mysterious, a consciousness at the center of the swarm. Casting her took time precisely because the role demanded all three qualities at once. Alice Krige, cast after Frakes was struck by her in the horror film Ghost Story, and whom he called the sexiest Star Trek villain of all time, had never seen an episode. She binged the Borg episodes at a friend's house before her audition. Mid-audition, she said, she suddenly experienced the Borg Queen. The collective finally had a mind. 11. The Queen's costume drew blood. Playing the Borg Queen was genuinely painful. Creed's first costume was a one-piece bodysuit built from hard rubber fused with a heavy headpiece and integrated lighting. And after the very first of her 10-day shoot, the tight rubber raised blisters across her skin. The crew fabricated a second, softer foam suit overnight to spare her. But even that relief came with a fixed torture. The eerie silver Borg contact lenses she wore were so painful they could only stay in for 4 minutes at a time before they had to come out. According to the production's Jerry Fleck, Creed never once complained through any of it. A professionalism her castmates raved about, describing a set full of constant carnival and laughter despite the discomfort. The result justified the suffering. Frakes considered the Queen's entrance, her head, shoulders, and steel spine lowered by cables and clicked onto her body. The film's signature visual effect, beauty assembled from agony. 10. The title was stolen by an alien first contact went through a remarkable number of names before landing on the right one. Across script revisions, the candidates included Star Trek, Borg, Star Trek, Destinies, Star Trek, Future Generations, and Star Trek, Generations 2, each eventually rejected. For a while, the frontrunner was Star Trek, Resurrection, until a rival studio torpedoed it. In an ironic collision, 20th Century Fox announced that the fourth Alien film would be titled Alien Resurrection, and Paramount, unwilling to have their Borg film confused with a xenomorph one, scrapped the name. On May 3, 1996, the film was rebranded First Contact, a title that turned out to be perfect, naming the exact moment the entire story orbits, humanity's first meeting with alien life. So the definitive title of the best TNG movie exists because another sci-fi franchise grabbed the runner-up first. Two of cinema's great resurrection stories nearly shared a name. The Borg blinked and got something better. 9, Zephram Cochrane, humanity's hero, is a drunk who hates the future. First Contact's boldest idea isn't the Borg. It's what it does to a legend. Zephram Cochrane, the reverent founding father of warp travel, is reimagined as a cynical, hard-drinking cynic who's inventing warp drive for money, not glory, and is horrified to learn he becomes a worshipped icon of the future. Braga called this his other great aha moment, the shock of meeting your hero from history and discovering he's a jerk. It's a genuinely subversive gut punch aimed at Star Trek's own utopian myth-making. The choice deepens the whole film. Cochrane's arc, a selfish man slowly grasping why his invention matters, dragged toward greatness by people who believe in him, mirrors the movie's argument that the future isn't built by saints, but by flawed people who rise to a moment. Note 2, the continuity nerve. The character first appeared young and idealized in the 1967 original series. Cromwell's grizzled version looks nothing like him. The writers didn't care. They were right. 8. Steppenwolf broke a 30-year Star Trek rule. When Zephram Cochrane blasts Magic Carpet Ride during the historic Phoenix launch, Star Trek was quietly breaking one of its own oldest traditions. In a franchise that had always ridden on original orchestral scores, First Contact became a rare film to license actual pop songs. Steppenwolf's 1968 anthem Magic Carpet Ride and Roy Orbison's Ooby Dooby. The soundtrack label's president admitted the decision was controversial internally, but conceded that Frakes did the most amazing job of integrating those songs into the story that we had to use them. Even the film's own writers were reportedly lukewarm on the Orbison track. The gamble paid off beautifully. Cochrane cranking classic rock over humanity's first warp flight, bewildering Riker and LaForge in the cockpit, perfectly captures the film's thesis. The future is human, messy, and set to a beat. It's a moment of pure joy, and it works precisely because it shouldn't belong in Star Trek at all. Quick systems check. If this deep dive is earning it, hit like and subscribe because we assimilate a classic every week. Now, back to the Enterprise. Starting with the horror movie hiding inside this Star Trek film, 7. It's secretly a zombie horror film, and the makeup proves it. Strip away the starship, and First Contact is a haunted house siege. A crew trapped aboard their own ship as an unstoppable force converts them one by one into shambling enemies. Frakes leaned into it, drawing on horror grammar. Dark corridors, a monstrous queen, the dread of a friend turning, to make the Borg genuinely frightening for the first time on the big screen. The assimilation of the crew plays like a zombie outbreak, with victims returning as pale, cabled, hollow-eyed converts. The redesign made it visceral. The Borg were rebuilt to look as if they'd been transformed from the inside out, machinery erupting through skin. And the new makeup took roughly 4 times longer to apply than the TV version. ILM designed the on-screen assimilation with cables that spring from a Borg's knuckles and bury into a victim's neck, worm-like tubes coursing under the skin, all computer-generated. A Star Trek film had never been this scary. It never really tried to be, again. 6. Picard's arc is Captain Ahab, and the movie says so out loud beneath the action. First Contact is a rewrite of Moby Dick, and it's not subtle. The film hands you the key. Consumed by his hatred of the Borg who once assimilated him, Picard abandons reason and duty to destroy them, willing to sacrifice his ship and crew for revenge. It takes an outsider, Lily, to name it. She compares him directly to Captain Ahab, chasing the white whale to his own doom. Picard, stunned into clarity, then quotes Melville himself. He piled upon the whale's white hump the sum of all the rage and hate felt by his whole race. Longtime viewers of this channel will feel the echo. Our Wrath of Khan episode covered how that film built its villain on the very same Ahab obsession, Khan quoting Moby Dick as he dies. First Contact flips the mirror. This time, the Ahab is the hero. 2 of the greatest Trek films share one 19th century novel as their spine. 5. Alfrie Woodard got cast at a barbecue. As Frakes' godmother, the film's emotional anchor, Lily Sloan, the ordinary human who calls Picard on his madness, came aboard through one of Hollywood's most charming casting stories. When Jonathan Frakes first moved to Los Angeles, one of the first people he met was actress Alfrie Woodard, and at a backyard barbecue, she declared she'd be his godmother, since he didn't have one. Years later, that friendship let Frakes land an Academy Award-nominated actress for his debut, a coup he happily admitted. Woodard has said Lily is the character most like her real self out of everything she's played, which is why the role lands so truthfully. Lily is the audience's stand-in, the one non-Starfleet voice who sees Picard's obsession clearly because she isn't dazzled by rank. Her confrontation with Stewart is the film's dramatic peak. 2 powerhouse actors, one of whom got the job because she volunteered to be the director's godmother at a cookout. 4. The score reunited the Wrath of Khan composer's family. The music came from a Star Trek royal, Jerry Goldsmith, returning for his 3rd franchise film after scoring the motion picture, answering Frakes' request for a darker theme. And Trek music fans welcomed him back warmly after a lukewarm response to the previous film's score. But there's a lovely family secret in the credits. Much of the film's action music was composed by Joel Goldsmith, Jerry's son, while his father handled the soaring spacewalk and Phoenix flight sequences. A father and son team scored humanity's leap to the stars. Goldsmith's stately main theme was so beloved it was reused as the opening for the series Star Trek: Enterprise years later. For viewers of this channel, the lineage runs deep. Jerry Goldsmith also scored the motion picture, and as our Outland episode noted, that film too. One composer threading through decades of the genre, First Contact's music is warm, martial, and hopeful all at once. It sounds like the future arriving. 3. The cast became a Star Trek dynasty across 30 years. First Contact's guest stars didn't just appear once, they colonized 3 decades of the franchise. Alice Craig's Borg Queen returned in Voyager's finale Endgame and came back yet again in the final season of Picard in 2024, closing a 28-year loop. James Cromwell's Zephram Cochrane reappeared in the pilot of Star Trek, Enterprise. his warp launch becoming the foundation of an entire prequel series. Even Alfrie Woodard's Lily Sloan resurfaced decades later in the animated Star Trek Lower Decks. That durability is the film's quiet legacy. It didn't just tell a great story, it minted characters and moments the franchise kept mining for a generation. The Borg Queen alone became so central that the modern Picard series built its emotional climax around her. Few Star Trek films have echoed this loudly this long. First Contact planted seeds in 1996 that were still blooming in 2024. Proof that its First Contact was really a first act. 2. It was a massive hit. The best reviewed Trek film in a generation. After the middling reception of Star Trek Generations, First Contact was a rescue mission that succeeded spectacularly. Made for around $45 million, it opened at number 1, the highest grossing film of its opening weekend, and sailed to roughly $146 million worldwide, becoming one of the most successful Trek films to that point. Critics, often wary of the franchise, embraced it. It's widely regarded as the best of the 4 Next Generation films and one of the strongest Star Trek movies overall, praised for balancing action, horror, humor, and genuine emotional weight. The achievement is bigger than numbers. Following a TV cast to the big screen is historically treacherous. But First Contact proved the Next Generation crew could carry a blockbuster on their own, free of the original series. It reset expectations for what a Trek film could be. Not just fan service, but a genuinely thrilling, scary, moving piece of mainstream cinema that non-fans could love. 1. The film that paid off a 6-year-old cliffhanger and defined Picard forever. Step back and First Contact's true power reveals itself. It's the emotional resolution of a story that began 6 years earlier on television. In our Next Generation episode, we covered the best of both worlds. Picard assimilated into Locatus, the greatest cliffhanger in TV history. First Contact is the film that finally let Picard confront that trauma head-on, turning his violation into Ahab-level rage and, at last, catharsis. Patrick Stewart had lobbied to keep Picard as Borg back in 1990. Here, the wound finally got its reckoning, and the ripples never stopped. Picard's Borg trauma, dramatized here, became the psychological spine of the entire Picard series 30 years later, where the Borg Queen returned to complete the arc. First Contact is the keystone, the movie where a television cliffhanger became a cinematic classic, where the Borg became truly terrifying, and where Jean-Luc Picard became not just a captain, but one of science fiction's great haunted heroes. Those were 15 facts most fans have never heard about First Contact. Which one got you? The Renaissance Borg, or Tom Hanks losing his dream role? Assimilate your answer into the comments. If this earned it, hit like, subscribe, and send it to the friend who still says resistance is futile at least once a week. Until next time, engage.